Online flash games were an integral part to my experience as a young girl growing up online. From Barbie.com games, the My Scene makeovers, and a website that was like a fashion kind of MMO website called Girl Sense that I loved, that I don't know anyone who played. I mean, clearly there are players out there, like I've trolled subreddits and stuff, but my god, where are my Girl Sense divas? Please sound off in the comments below. I miss Girl Sense. I recently was looking to see if it got one of the like Girl Sense revisited treatments that like Club Penguin and the like have gotten. I have not seen anything though. I think that as someone who is very into fashion and makeup, these games acted as a very early form of aesthetic expression for me. And looking back, I can see how, they could be a little problematic, reinforcing strict gender roles, reinforcing the whole girls don't play video games stereotype that was so big in the 2000s, but I sure did have fun playing. Among the Girl Senses and Girls Go games, say that 10 times fast, there was another website, one even more obscure and more teal-haired than the rest.
Let's go!
My name is glitchwitch.jpg. I make videos about internet horror, analog horror, digital horror, creepypastas, survival horror, video games, all that good stuff. Today, this one's for the girlies, the girly pops, the divas. Oh, it's for everyone. It's for she's, he's, they, thems, the whole spectrum. We are going to be looking at the incredible digital horror series Lacy Games, specifically the most recent entry, The Disturbing Rabbit Hole of LaceyGames.com, which is the fourth Lacy Games entry thus far. This series is created by Ghost Tundra, and I think it's one of the darkest running internet horror projects, but it also contains some of the most insightful commentary that we've seen out of the genre. For those not familiar with Lacy Games, I urge you to watch the series. There's only 4 videos. I'll still give a quick rundown of what has happened thus far before I do my breakdown of the most recent video. That's really what this video is about, is just about The Disturbing Rabbit Hole of LaceyGames.com. I have not watched anyone else talk about this yet. I know Minoxa has already put out a video. That's who I originally heard about this series from, was Minoxa. Very talented YouTuber, big fan. Fair warning, I do want to say, if you're not familiar with Lacy Games, this series deals with a lot of heavy subject. I'm going to flash up a content warning in a second, so those are the things to watch out for. If those are topics that you are not comfortable with, I would maybe skip this video and skip this series on the whole. It is a potentially very triggering series. But I will say these subjects are they're dealt with at like full face value, but they are handled with a lot of respect. So keep that in mind.
Let's go! Hi, lovely.
So the Lacy series revolves around an obscure flash game site called LaceyGames.com that went from like 2004 to 2010, and they star the titular Lacy in a series of standard girl targeted flash games, dress up, cooking, pet care, makeovers. And the website was created by 2 young women, Rocio Yanni and Grace Aesop, who ended up having a falling out in 2010 due to Grace's distrust of Rocio and Rocio's declining mental state. The series is compiled by a player character, Charlie, who documents rediscovering the games and eventually comes into contact with Grace. In each entry of the series, Lacy begins with a mundane task, and the game slowly devolves to reveal traumatic experiences, including but not limited to SA, animal abuse, suicide, and stalking. Okay, with that rundown out of the way, let's do a breakdown of The Disturbing Rabbit Hole of LaceyGames.com.
Let's go! Hi, lovely.
The latest Lacy video opens up with what seems to be an ad for LaceyGames.com featuring Lacy and the Jammers, a band made up of Lacy and her 2 friends Maisie and Jay. And can I just say, The LaceyGames.com song dropped the same day as Taylor Swift's Tortured Poets Department, and let's just say that the reigning songstresses, their name rhymes with Macy and the Slammers, not Sailor Drift. Don't come for me, Swifties. We can live harmoniously, but straight up, this song is a banger. All of the music in this episode, banger after banger after banger. My husband and I have been singing the Jay's Skating Game riff since we watched this.
Let's go.
So, after we get this ad and the bop of the damn century, song of the year, Grammys, I'm calling you right now, we see that Grace is the one showing Charlie this video, and she explains at this moment that Rocio voiced Lacey, both her speaking and singing voice, but this caused Rocio a lot of stress to the point that she would physically harm herself. And here we see the first of many instances of Grace being overall just very dismissive and kind of mean about like the mental state that Rocio was in when they were working on Lacy Games. And Grace is seemingly frustrated with Charlie for posting the previous conversation that they had onto Charlie's YouTube channel, which is what we saw in the previous upload, Lacey's Pet Shop. But Grace is continuing to give Charlie information. I think maybe it's just because she's enjoying the attention of someone being interested in her old work. I'm not quite sure yet. Grace is giving Charlie the old HTML files of the actual full website of LaceyGames.com. This is the most comprehensive look that we have gotten so far of the full LaceyGames.com before we've just gotten individual games. On the website, we see the 3 stars of LaceyGames.com, Maisie, Lacey, and Jay. And this is the first time we've seen characters besides Lacey as far as like the cartoony web characters. We had Lacey's uncle in previous videos, but he was both a villain and a more real life character than Maisie and Jay are. Maisie is the smart friend obsessed with astrology, Lacey is the fashionable outgoing airhead, and Jay is the skater tomboy. Charlie is really excited to see Jay and says that Jay was her favorite as a child, but Grace says that Jay gives her the creeps because Rocio permanently killed Jay off, unlike Lacey, who seems to get resurrected after her horrible in-game deaths. Grace tells Charlie to load up Jay's skating game to see what she's talking about. The game is a bare-bones skating-based platformer with the most banger soundtrack ever. It quickly devolves into some spooky, scary bullshit because this is a Lacy Games video, baby. As the game continues to glitch out, Charlie reaches an ominously named level. Previously it was level 1, level 2, level 3, whatever. This one's just called level. And Jay falls to her death onto some spikes. The screen switches to a terrifying, more realistic dead face and the words, "You killed Jay." Horrified by the game, Charlie asks Grace how Rocio could show this stuff to kids, and Grace is once again dismissive and just calls Rocio cuckoo. Grace explains that after Jay's skating game, Jay was removed from the website as a character, but she kept appearing randomly. We then see what I assume is Jay haunting the website, and then a quick flash of either emails or a message board from the concerned parents, which I will read for you. Concern over Lacey's Games character. Hello parents, today I want to bring attention to this website I found my girl visiting, Lacey's Girl Games. I thought it was innocent until I saw the mascots. There is one, Jay, who acts and dresses like a boy. She also throws the devil's sign constantly and has a skate, which is totally inappropriate for a girl. I can't believe they'd put a queer in a child's website. I'm a very concerned mom. Because of this, my little Amber started telling me she wanted a skateboard. What's next? Wearing those hideous boy caps? Hanging around boys who will hurt her? Wanting to become a boy? Be careful. Concern over Lacey's Games characters. I just saw it. Wow. That is not a girl. That is a D-slur. You have to write an email to developers to delete this character. I posted about it on Facebook. Everyone agrees it's so inappropriate. It's an inappropriate character for kids. It's a D-slur in a girl's website. We are getting all the parents to email, hopefully something the developer. My girls love this website. I hope they fix it so I can allow her to visit again. Concern over Lacey's game character. I can definitely agree that a character that says, I'd only be caught dead wearing makeup in one of her games is not a role model little girls should be having. I don't know why they couldn't just keep Lacey in the other one and get rid of this boy-girl thing. Let us know about updates on sending emails. Maybe also block it in schools until then. Clearly, it seems that Rocio was upset by this response to Jay and ended up killing her off horrifically, perhaps to mess with the parents who were complaining, because we then see a response from her saying, quote, careful what you wish for, with a winky smiley face. We then switch over to a new game, Lacey's Makeup Parlor, where the player and Lacey need to give various clients makeovers. I'm channeling Lacey in that. That's why I look like a freak mess today. I have round ass blush and overlined lips and this blue shit and these pigtails. I can't serve like Lacey can, okay? I'm sorry, I tried. So this game also has an absolute banger of a song attached to it. My god.
Hi, Lovely.
To make a whole nother music and analog horror, digital horror, whatever, video just so I can bump this shit for an hour straight. So Lacey's Makeup Parlor is pretty standard Lacy Games fare. Things slowly start to fall apart, literally this time. One client's face begins to sag, a worm is crawling towards one, and one has these frightening eyes that appear, and we have to physically force them closed. It is cool. Every time we're told to fix her and a real gloved hand comes in and fixes the problem, which I love the mixed media nature of Lacy Games as a series. It's really cool. It's one of the things I love so much about it. This eventually leads up to Jay coming in as a client whose face distorts into a horrific, realistic mutilated face titled Image 0207. Before this, we also see one of the Polaroids of the finished makeovers distort into what appears to be a dead body alongside the little chibi of Lacey pivots from her normal double pigtail woo to a more disheveled ponytail sad looking Lacey. After this, there's a flash of text and a different distorted face here, but I can't make out what this text says. I tried. I'm sorry, I've failed you as an analog and digital horror analyst. Please forgive me. Please don't unsubscribe. Please just subscribe if you haven't. Oh my god, what? After this, we shift to a more real perspective of Lacey. Her colors are more muted. She's in more toned down clothes and, hairstyle and stuff. And she lays down in a dirty bathroom in a distressed state, trying to calm herself down by saying, quote, she's just a client, and that both her and her client just need makeup to be fixed. Lacey calms herself and begins to do Jay's makeup in the game, but it distorts again, and we find that Lacey is in the morgue holding Jay's dead body. This was hinted at earlier in the game with a blink and you miss it shot of a real morgue. She pleads with Jay to stay still and collaborate and says, quote, "Maybe if you were a little more feminine, maybe if you just used some makeup, you wouldn't have, this wouldn't have." Then, in what may be the saddest scene in the entire series, which is saying something with this series, Lacey puts makeup on Jay's corpse. It then cuts back to Grace and Charlie, though a bit distorted compared to before. Grace confirms that Jay's dead body kept showing up on the website, and Grace was too freaked out by Rocio to do anything about it and just ended up leaving the website as a co-creator. A second window pops up at this point, and it's probably Jay or Rocio. I'm not sure at this point. We may find out more in later uploads. Charlie convinces Grace to look into Rocio's whereabouts because she hasn't since 2010 when she left the website. And then the video ends with a goodbye song from Lacey to Jay, featuring more flashes of Jay's corpse.
Let's go. Hi, lovely.
The disturbing rabbit hole of LaceyGames.com is maybe the most refreshing in the entire series because I think it finally has solidified that Lacy Games is a series. The characters of Grace and Rocio are finally a really, really integrated part of the story, and they're explored more than they ever have been, which gives a lot of insight to why Lacy Games exists and why it is the way it is. And, you know, this was alluded to in previous videos, mostly Lacey's pet shop, but the distinct plot really, really takes root in this. The other 3 uploads could be perceived as kind of just one-offs, especially the first one. I feel like it has expanded a lot. Like, Lacey's diner kind of established Lacey and her being abused by her uncle, which is a huge part of Lacey's pet shop. So I think with each upload it has solidified itself more and more as like a continuous series, and this one really, really finally fleshed it out in a way that like it feels like a completed project. Not a completed project, a complete project. There's clearly more coming, which is great and exciting, and I love it. I also think that the trauma explored in this one was unexpected, for me at least. This time we have Jay at the forefront. We have a different character besides just Lacey. And, you know, Jay is a tomboy character that's pissing off shitty, bigoted parents who don't want you know, a gay or a trans-coded character on their daughter's precious girl game site. And I personally think that Jay can be interpreted as either a female identifying lesbian, a non-binary person, or a trans-masculine person. The game uses she, her pronouns for Jay, so I will be following suit with that, but know that it really could be any of these. I personally lean towards the trans mask angle because in Jay's bio, it says that she likes when people call her a tomboy. So I'm just kind of headcanoning that maybe that was Jay's first experience, maybe saying, oh, it feels good to be described as a boy or as masculine. I think there's a chance that Rocio may have been struggling with her own feelings of being gay or questioning her gender identity, which something that, you know, sadly is becoming more of an issue again, but was very taboo in the 90s and early 2000s when Rocio would have been growing up. So I think that she likely wanted to give kids in that position some representation through Jay. And I think a lot of the things that are happening in this series are things that Rocio has firsthand experienced. We've seen evidence of that in previous uploads, specifically again Lacey's pet shop. And, you know, while I may be a straight cis woman, I'm more than aware of how seeing LGBTQ coded characters as children can make LGBTQ kids feel seen and validated, and also of the lengths that, you know, bigoted adults will go to take that away. The example that comes to mind for me is Sailor Moon, Sailor Neptune, and Mercury, who were canonically lesbians in Japan, but were translated to be cousins in North America. And, you know, the example within this video is a lot more harsh because Rocio reacts a lot harsher and kills Jay off, but I think that she does this to upset the complaining parents and make them confront their feelings and their ideas of, you know, what a queer person is. And that's the issue, is these bigoted parents that unfortunately still exist to this day. They think that media is going to turn a kid gay. That's not how it works. If your kid is gay, they're gay. And them having a role model in the form of a cartoon, it can make all the difference in the world and make them feel less alone and less scared to be themselves. It's very frustrating. Jay's brutal death can also be linked to the bury your gays trope, which is a well-documented media phenomenon where gay characters are introduced only to be met with like a horribly tragic end. Even today, you see a lot of media trying to say like, oh my god, we're so inclusive, we're including this gay character, oh my god, and then they just kill them, or they have the saddest ending possible even if they aren't killed. Lacey, you know, literally pleads with Jay's corpse to be more feminine because she knows that it would have saved her from her horrible fate. If she presented femme, nobody would have complained and she would have been spared. I think tackling this subject in Lacy Games is an impressive and an important choice because unfortunately LGBTQ people, specifically trans people, are statistically more likely to be victims of violent crimes. The series has never been one to shy away from heavy topics, and this one is important, and I'm glad to see light shed on it, especially within this community. I think there are a lot of LGBTQ identifying people that love internet horror and feel that it's a safe space. I mean, traditionally, LGBTQ people have flocked to horror because it's a genre that highlights the misfits and the outcasts. And, you know, I hope that internet horror can be a safe space for everyone. I think just from a storytelling perspective as well, it was important to introduce characters besides Lacey so that we can get different narratives and different perspectives. Jay is the ultimate victim in this video, but we get to see Lacey in a different position than we usually do. She is the broken bystander, still going through something horrible and traumatic, but, you know, she's on the outside of it rather than directly being the center of it. I don't think Lacey actually wants Jay to be anything but herself. She loves her for who she is, but she's so shocked and in so much grief that she's doing anything she can to protect Jay, or what she thinks is Jay. Seeing Lacey in this position grieve so hard and so severely that she essentially lost her mind and, you know, is making over dead bodies in the morgue. It adds a shock and horror that we're used to, but it really adds this new depth to Lacey that I really enjoy. You know, both us as the audience and Lacey herself as a character are so used to Lacey being the punching bag in the situation that both us as the audience and Lacey don't know what to do when it happens to someone else. It's a really harsh deviation from the formula, and it was very effective because obviously, you know, all things considered, like the death scene isn't that horrific in this to me compared to some of the other ones in the previous uploads, but this act of Lacey pleading with her friend to conform so that she's not killed and trying to bring her back to life by forcing her to conform through the makeup, it's so sad. And in a series that already is very heartbreaking and sad, like, this reached a level that I don't think it has yet. And it just goes to show Ghost Hunter's amazing ability as a storyteller. Lacy Games is one of the most innovative and interesting internet horror series currently running. I think that, you know, a lot of us do come to this genre as a form of escapism, just for some spooky scaries. But once in a while, I think it's really, really cathartic to see real-life trauma that we can relate to portrayed in a brutal but very respectful and, I don't know, engaging is maybe a wrong way to put it, but I think it's a validating way. And I really can't wait to see where the series continues, and I'm so thankful we have it. Aesthetically, it's just brilliant. It hits the nail on the head of the 2000s Flash games. But then when you bring in the scary parts with the mixed media, the real photos, the real footage, even just the way that Grace and Charlie communicate through the little computer screen windows, and it's just still images of them emoting, I think is so fun. And I don't know, it really evokes the early 2000s to the 2010s, and I just think that's really cool. Let me know what you guys think of Lacy Games, what you think of this most recent upload, and you know, where you want to see it go. Let me know any other series you'd like me to cover. I do want to keep trying to cover some of these popular ones as new ones come out. There are certain series like the Monument Mythos I keep teasing that I'm going to do it, but then new things keep coming out that I have to cover. But yeah, I also love shouting out, you know, female-centered and LGBTQ-centered internet horror, because, you know, these communities are backbones of this community, and I sadly don't think they're talked about enough. So, you know, really enjoyed talking about Lacey last week. I shouted out a female artist, Chloe, etc., who did the MLP Infection AU series that I really liked. So, you know, if there are any female or queer creators that you love and you think aren't getting enough attention, please let me know, because I would love to cover them. Unfortunately, it's just harder to find them sometimes. Thank you so much for watching. Go play a dress-up game. Go heal your inner child. And I will see you in the next video. Bye!
Wow.